Hey there, I'm Lisa Catallo from Panorama Wellness Group, and this is Angela Davison. And we were just meeting and talking about first responders and how Angela is passionate about helping them get the help that they need for emotional and mental support. So we thought we'd jump on here and just record a little bit of that. It's impromptu, so it's not going to be perfect, but really the heart that Angela has been sharing with me over the last few months, and especially today, I just really want that to get out there. So Angela, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're passionate about helping first responders?
Yes, thank you, Lisa, for introducing me. So I am actually a police officer, and I've been a police officer for 13 years with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. And my passion comes from that experience.
Mm.
I see firsthand what first responders witness, what they experience, and it's tragic that sometimes they don't have an outlet to express what they're going through.
Yeah. So through that work now going into the counselor role and trying to support them in that area, when you think about first responders, what would be something that would keep them from reaching out for counseling support?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel the stigma of making that first appointment is still holding on, even though we've come so far in therapy and counseling and mental health. That stigma of making that appointment as a first responder is still there. And I'm hoping that with the work that I'm doing with Panorama and kind of putting it out there, that we can even start to see a decrease in that stigma.
Yeah. And what would you say is something that would make someone reach out for counseling as a first responder?
Yeah, when we think about first responders, we think about tragedy and seeing things that the common person doesn't see, witnessing just tragedy and not being able to control. You know, we're always running into the danger, whereas other people are running away. And I feel like that anxiety, being able to talk to someone about that anxiety and about what they're witnessing as a first responder is just a way of them to be able to really vent and not feel judged about what they're going through and how they're feeling.
Yeah. One of the things that has struck me lately is quite a few of the calls that we get are it's increasing for nurses who are taxed right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them citing COVID, which I think COVID is affecting everybody, but
Yes.
specifically right now, nurses. So what would you say to a nurse who has witnessed that kind of tragedy?
You know, it's overwhelming, and I can't imagine the stress and the overwhelming feelings that they're going through in the ER and in the hospitals. They're all having an abundance of patients that they have to cope with treating and seeing and triaging. And it's just a horrible place right now. And without having someone to talk to, how do you really deal with those feelings? You know, everyone, all of their coworkers are probably going through the same thing. And just, you know, being able to express how they feel without, you know, being seen as someone that isn't able to cope, I'm sure that's stressful in itself. You
Yeah.
know, nurses are supposed to be strength for their patients. And how do you find strength when you're dealing with so much and being overloaded with patients? It's definitely a stressful time for them. And I encourage all nurses to, you know, make an appointment with someone that they feel like they can talk to.
How would you say that your experience as a police officer would help you to relate to somebody like a nurse or somebody who's not a police officer, but first responder kind of thing with the different stresses, but kind of the same thing when you were talking about tragedy? How
Yeah.
would you relate that way?
I think that we work as a community together. So the things that we respond to, we're responding to together, such as firefighters, paramedics, nurses, doctors. We're all working together for the greater good. And because I have been in that field and I've worked with several first responders, like I said, you know, firefighters, paramedics, what have you, I can relate in the matter that I understand what they're witnessing and what they're seeing and how they're feeling and how the aftermath of the response is there. And although some people don't react the same way as others, it's very important that we all understand each other, and that seeking, you know, someone to talk to and someone that understands is very important.
Even as you're saying that, like as a counselor, you hear a lot of difficult things, and there's this, you can't talk about it to other people unless there's a release of information or
Yeah,
you know, some kind of peer consultation.
yeah,
And so even just knowing like you're a keeper of secrets of sorts, even as first responders, hey, and it
yeah,
has to come out some way. If it doesn't come out verbally and emotionally,
yeah,
it's going to take place physically. And so,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think that that's the key point of therapy and counselors, is that confidentiality piece, you know, knowing that you can speak to me or another therapist and it's not going to be divulged to someone else. You know, a lot of first responders kind of talk to each other and they find release there. But at the same time, sometimes if you express the way that you're feeling to a fellow first responder, it may come across as, you know, not the same as it would to a therapist, you know, and the advice given by a fellow first responder, you know, may not be something that that person needs to hear at that time. So not being judged, you know, not having that judgment from a therapist, and just being open is very important, to just say whatever you need to say, whether it be that, you know, I can't handle this job anymore, or I don't know how to deal with these emotions anymore. You know, it's very important to just have an open space. And I feel like that's what I have to offer, knowing that, you know, whatever you say to me is okay.
That's awesome. Thank you for taking this time, just impromptu. We will do scheduled things later on, but
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
so Angela, how can people reach you, and what does your schedule look like if they would like to work with you?
Yeah, so my schedule is pretty flexible. You can make an appointment through Panorama Wellness Group through the email, or you can email me directly at angela@panoramawellnessgroup.ca.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's our website is panoramawellnessgroup.ca. Our intake coordinator can help if Angela is not available at info@panoramawellnessgroup.ca. Say that really fast 3 times. Or the phone number is 778-726-0550. And we're going to look forward to more videos from Angela in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa.